Hey, BookTube. It's been a while. I wish I was coming to you with a stronger reading report, but since I last posted, it's been a lot of work, and it's been a lot of draining work. So my time for reading has been very short and forced. So it's been quite scattered and not as nearly as productive as I would like. Um, So far, I've got about 100 pages into this book by Catherine Belton, Putin's People. It's a really interesting account, at least where I'm reading now. It's the basically the fall of the Soviet Union and how that transformed at the time, and where Putin was, and where you, you had a lot of bankers moving in, taking advantage of the situation. And apparently lived quite high on a hog for a while, and not everything turned out great for those people. A lot of falling out of windows seems to be a problem over there. But this is a hefty volume. Catherine, man, the amount of research she did into this is wild. There's at least there's a little over 100 pages of notes alone. Um, So yeah, there's a lot to dig into here. Of course, your problem with a book like this is you're dealing with a lot of sources that don't, you know, she's got to figure out, are they, is the are they providing truthful information, or are they, or what? In some cases, she's giving different accounts of, you know, of what she's been able to dig up, and some that will only talk so far, which seems to happen quite a bit. So, very interesting account. This one's going to take me. Well, I'm a slow reader to begin with, but this with something like this, uh, almost every all your pages are like this. It's just dense blocks of information. Yeah, that's not exactly like a Jackie Collins novel like my previous post. So yeah, Catherine Belton there. I bought some books off of eBay uh, about a month or so ago. Some books on World War II history, basically Nazism. Unfortunately, they all have a strong. It's not cigarette odor. It's more like it's like a scented pipe tobacco. I'm really not quite sure, which, at this stage I'm usually pretty good at picking out what's what. So I'm guessing it's a scented pipe tobacco that belonged to an older man. In one of the books, there's a dedication for his 82nd birthday. So, yeah, he was no spring chicken. He had, based on what the seller was offering, you could tell it was all from this person's collection. He had a really extensive um, selection of World War II history. Up first is the stinkiest of the lot, probably because it's the heaviest. And this is the Order of the Death's Head. And this was actually released by Penguin. You can see how dense this one is. I'm guessing the previous owner only got about this far, because that's where the crack, it's mostly superficial crack. But the way this binding is feeling, I'm not sure how well this book will hold up. Heinz Hone. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I flipped through with some. Seemed to be very interesting. Again, unfortunately, this is the strongest of the books. I did put all the books in sealed bags with unscented fabric softener sheets. Supposedly that helped. I mean, it helps some with the other books I have here. It did not help much with this one at all. I'm gonna have to go with maybe some baking soda and seal them in a tub with some baking soda and see if that helps. Maybe nothing will. I don't know. we got here? It's about almost 700 pages of scented paper. I did talk to the seller. I did ask beforehand, did he, especially when I saw how thick this one was, I'm like, did these have been, do these smell like cigarettes at all or anything? He's like, no. I don't think the person was lying to me. He even offered to refund me, but the purchase price included shipping, and that must have cost him quite a bit because these books are heavy. And I doubt he made more than a few bucks on a sale, so I'm not gonna, get into that. I just don't think some people can smell some stuff. I think they're so. I think their sensor, their senses are just damaged from chemicals and crazy foods and stuff like that. I mean, I've come across really stinky stuff, and people are like, I don't smell nothing. So, you got some people that are ignorant about these things. You got some that don't care. You got some that are as truthful as they can be. I'm guessing this guy was as truthful as he can be. I guess he just can't smell it. But I mean, right away, my cats were like, "Ooh, what's that?" Anyway, so that's the trouble. I'm not one of those eBay haters and stuff like that. And I know there could be problems and such, but like I said, the guy offered a refund, but it wasn't. He had already spent so much shipping. The next up is The Coming of the Third Reich by Richard J. Evans. This is another. This is a Penguin trade, and this one isn't too bad in terms of the odor. So hopefully, these are all new books to me, by the way. So I can't tell you, oh my God, you should read this or whatever. Next, we're getting to. This one I wasn't familiar with at all. This is called Hitler's Cross, How the Cross Was Used to Promote the Nazi Agenda. I've never seen this one before. And then we got, I'm sure, a controversial one here. This is Inside the Third Reich Memoirs by Albert Speer. And I did find one of his prison diaries at a library sale, which I haven't read. There's some illustrations and such. I wonder if there's an art in here. Oh. What do you know? Hitler's sketch of triumphal arch that Trump himself wants to build. And when asked why, he said for himself. And finally, this one was a recommend by Steve Donahue. This is something that's actually, I don't think any of the books, Richard Evans' books probably still in print, but I know that I looked this one back up, and even though it's on Penguin, it was, at least what I saw, it showed to be out of print. So that was a kind of driving force in getting the lot at such a price. And then I got this one on the side, Hitler Nazism, and this is by Louis Snyder. Flicking through, this is much easier to read, but any page I hit on was definitely got my attention, especially in terms of current events. So I can't believe that arch was just right there. Anyway, I hope you're well. I guess that's it. I got a library sale coming up. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely got to make time for that. You never know what's going to be there. It's always something, but sometimes it's like a whole lot, and sometimes you're just like, but whatever. It's something to look forward to. Take care.